Hi, welcome back to season 19 of the Productized Podcast. I'm André Marquet, and I'll be your host for today's episode. This season, we're all about creating change together with Productized 2025. And today, I'm super grateful to be joined by someone who embodies that spirit of transformation. Hugo de Sousa, he's the founder of Mars Shot, a specialist in corporate innovation, artificial intelligence, and digital transformation. Hugo also teaches innovation at Pace Business School in London and at Nova SP in Lisbon. And here's the exciting part. Hugo is not just here for the podcast, he's also kicking off the Leaders Day at the Productized Conference 2025. And trust me, this is not your usual AI hype talk. We're talking about how AI is actually changing product strategy, decision-making, and leadership. Hugo, it's an honor to finally have you with us.
Thank you very much. You are exaggerating. And by the way, not an expert in anything. I'm probably a jack of all trades. And that's my superpower, I will say.
Great. We're going to speak a little bit about superpowers today.
Cool.
Before we dive into AI and innovation, let's do our little warm-up. What's the most surprising thing someone learns when they meet Hugo outside of work?
What's the most surprising thing?
Yeah, they get to learn about you.
Probably that a few decades ago, I was a professional chess player, and nobody knows that. But that was in a past life. I'm not a professional chess player anymore, but it's still part of me. The way you need to think and anticipate. Also, you need to take risks. Sometimes you need to have the courage to sacrifice a horse or a bishop to get to a better position. I think I'm not a chess player anymore, but the chess mindset is still here. And again, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But I think the positive thing is that we are able to win the game with a handshake, and then there will be more games. That's what I take from chess. But yeah, this is something it's not on my LinkedIn, it's not on my bio.
Mm-hmm.
It probably only a few people know.
Okay, that's actually, I didn't know that you were actually a professional player. So you were actually being paid to play?
Not paid. Usually when we win a tournament or second or third place, it's good enough to pay for the travel and for the meal and for the hotel. That was also one of the important factors to decide to continue with my studies and not to continue and become a professional chess player. But a few guys that played with me are now grandmasters, are now number 1, number 2 in Portugal. And they also teach from an educational perspective, chess, but they are not football players. So probably in Russia, you will become, or Sweden, you will become more famous. In Portugal, a lot of people play, a few are professional, but it's not enough, meaning as a salary to become rich or even probably to pay for a house or an apartment in Lisbon at the moment.
How did you get into chess in the first place? Was it in school tournaments?
No. There was a neighbor called Senhor Pinheiro. He died 1 year ago with, 94 years old. He was
what a life, man. What a life. 94?
He's 94 years old. I met him when I was, 10 years old. He was probably, 60, something like that. Quite old because I was 10, right? And his passion was chess. So he played for a famous club called Alequim. I think it doesn't exist anymore. He worked during the evening in a newspaper called O Século, very, very old as well.
Very, very old newspaper.
But
doesn't exist anymore.
Doesn't exist anymore. And he was an old school chess player, meaning a suit and a tie, like a gentleman playing chess. And his interest, his passion was to teach people how to play chess.
Mm-hmm.
I found something where I could learn, I could practice, I could play, I could win. And I made a lot of friends in that space. One of them is actually very famous in Portugal. His name is Daniel Oliveira. He's a director of SIC and 5 or 6 more channels.
Okay.
And I played with him when I was 12, 13 until I was 18. And then he continued his work. I continued my studies and my work. And that's life.
Right. Lots of people, this is a pattern that I've observed in lots of interviews I do, especially with younger candidates here, is that they tell me, I was doing competitive swimming or I was doing competitive this or that. And once I get to be 18, once I get to the university, I stopped. And that's a shame, isn't it? Because people then use the university as either has an excuse to stop or sometimes a lame excuse to stop, not because they want to stop, but because they wanted to stop before, but they didn't have the courage to tell their parents they wanted to stop. That also happens. And then the university is the catalyst to stop. What was the reason you stopped playing?
Time management, I will say, because
But you got at university, right?
but
At
I
18.
was working and studying at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I started university when I was 18 at the same time because I studied in a technical school or Escola Profissional in Portuguese. So I had a job when I was 18 and university at the same time. So to be honest, there was a gap year because I was so excited with my job. I started at Arthur D. Little, the first consulting company in the world. Before the dot-com boom, I was working with people that worked with Bill Gates and people like that. I was 18 years old. I was the IT manager. I was taking care of all the servers and networks and laptops of everybody back in 1998 or 99. So I was like, I'm really well paid. I'm working at the Portuguese Champs-Élysées of Avenida da Liberdade. Why do I need to study? Why do I need to study computer science if I already know a lot about developing software, managing all the novel networks, Unix servers, databases? But then I realized, okay, a gap year might be cool, but I need to go to university, or else from a social perspective, I will not get the respect that I want. That was a surprise to me because I wasn't aware of the social protocol. To me, it was very easy. It's life is having fun, learning, and that's it. The social part was an artifact. I wasn't aware until I started to work, and the work was very intensive. American company, working, I don't know, sometimes 18 hours per day, learning a lot. My boss was in the US and in Germany. Actually, I never met them. So I was working, I would say, remotely. No video
Back in the day.
conference.
Wow, back in the day.
Back in the day. With yeah. So I
That
was
is also,
learning a lot by buying books at Amazon. No Google, meaning it was very hard to get access to information.
yeah, those were the
Then
days.
studying at night, I stopped my hobby because it was, I would say, impossible to continue. That was the decision, and then here we are,
Very
27
well.
years after.
So you decided also to do a course because of the peer pressure, the social pressure at work, and the fact that if you had a degree, you would be seen as having more social capital inside.
Yes. To be honest, I learned a lot because I have a degree in just like in the US, like a major in IT, in a minor in management. So I was like, yeah, I already know a few things about computers because I started at 15 years old, learning architecture, coding, low code. But low code back in the day was assembly, like low level programming. So I'm going to study management at the same time. So
People
accounting,
learning a
law.
lot,
I learned a lot
languages
about
like
business.
Pascal and stuff like that.
Pascal, I went through that.
Yeah, exactly. Turbo Pascal and stuff
Turbo
like that.
Pascal,
I remember.
Clipper, DBF databases,
Yeah.
and then Visual Studio and Visual Basic
Yeah,
back
I
in
mean,
'98, I think.
yeah, I mean, many ways that if you were a power user back in the 90s, you could basically, and if you had to be a time travel and you would travel 20 years to the future, like today's reality, it would be such a. It, actually, let me put this way. Hugo from 98 will travel to 2025. The basics were still there, right? The whole construct was still the same. Now we have vibe coding and we have all this stuff, but the fundamentals are still very much the same. Databases, how they're managed, how they're the programming. The tools are different, but the basics and the constructs are pretty much the same. So if you had to pick a superpower, a non-technical superpower, and now non-technical superpower is the name of the game that helps you lead innovation or go through your career, what would it be?
The ability to unlearn and learn,
Unlearn.
unlearn.
unlearn is very important, and learn again.
Unlearn. Yes. You need to free up space. You need to make space for new
Using a IT
learning.
management language, format your hard drive and defrag it and ready for another.
Exactly. You need to shift delete your files.
Or
Hard
if you are
delete.
a Unix user, you have to go sudo and then format the
RM
drive and then
RM
RM.
minus RF.
So you have
Recursive
that
and
you have
force.
that you have that capability to unlearn and wind out stuff that is there and then learn the new stuff. And I know this for a fact because I've seen you do this in your career at least a couple of times. So I know you're not bullshitting me for sure. Why do you think you have this capability? How have you developed it? Is this
I
coming
don't
from
know.
the chess days where you had to learn the new tricks and the new strategies? Is it does this come out of necessity? You have, oh, what's new? And I have to learn the new trick, the new job, the new thing.
I think your LinkedIn title should be a therapist because you are good at asking questions.
I'm just trying to understand. You have a look. I know this is real. I know that you have learned and unlearned several times because you have been reinventing yourself in ways that I think are super inspiring to lots of people. When I met you, you were still an IT manager, so to speak. Then you were one of the very first people here in Portugal to open a coding school. Then you went into innovation consultancy, then for several years outside of Portugal and then in Portugal. And now you're doing what could be called vibe coding excellence for companies and corporates. So why Hugo? Why
I think
this
that
reinvention, constant reinvention?
I'm not going to my childhood. Maybe the reason is always there, right? It's always your mother and your father and the way you
Right.
were
Yeah, it's always the mother, right?
educated.
That's
It's
always
always the mother, always the
the
mother.
mother or the father.
But if you are connected with IT in general, I think there's always a fear of missing out because back in the day it was probably Windows 95 or MS-DOS, Windows 95, Windows 98. So if you are very good using Windows 95 and managing Windows 95, when there's a new version coming up, you need to learn again what's new. So I think that training of becoming very good at something and then suddenly I need to learn again. And if we look after Windows updates, okay, every single day there's a new update. Before it was Windows 95, then a service pack or a patch. And now every single day you go on your smartphone, there's an update. And because of this, you also need to become able to unlearn and learn, or else you won't stay relevant for a while. So my favorite hashtag is actually stay relevant. And to do that, you need to go to the mind gym every single day. Really, you need to do that. Why I do this? I don't know. Maybe I'm addicted to dopamine, starting new things, or I would really hate to become obsolete.
Yeah, but
Chess is part of that. I don't know.
you would
I don't
have
think so.
to agree that a lot of people in the workforce are not like that, right? A lot of people like to be in the comfort zone. A lot of people like to,
Yeah.
go home, just watch Netflix, and that's it. That's also totally fine.
It's fine.
It's fine, but
It's
let's I from my experience, 90% of people are like that, right? They don't want to, be pushed. They don't want to learn the new tricks, or if they do, okay, give me that the slower pace. And what did you say? Stay relevant. That's what you said. That's stay relevant.
Irrelevant.
And lots of people that might be listening to this might say, okay, how do I stay relevant? What kind of, what can I do in order to keep staying relevant in not the super hard way? Because I'm not the kind of person that is going to like do any courses or something. Is there any stuff that you would recommend people doing?
I try one new thing every single day or every single week or every single month. So if you are a project manager, probably you should try a new way to manage communication, teams, not everything at the same time, but start with a single process and change that process.
And taking
read
this
about it.
to vibe coding, if people want to start, where should they start?
Lovable.
Lovable.
Open Lovable.
And just go with the flow.
So yeah, Lovable. Yeah, start with Lovable, go with the flow. Yeah, so it's I do vibe consulting. I just invented this vibe consulting term.
I would say
inspired.
Educational.
Overwhelming. Very practical.
Challenging.
Thought-provoking.
Meaningful.
Enthusiastic.
Nice people. Innovation.
And fun.
Product growth mindset.
New connections.
Join us at the coolest product management environment this October in Lisbon.
Okay, so let's go into that. So our team this season for the conference, it's centered around creating change together. And for you, Hugo, it's AI isn't just a technology. Anyone that is following you on LinkedIn like I am can say it's much more than technology. It's a cultural catalyst. It's a transformation. It's probably the biggest transformation that we have seen in our lifetimes. So in this framework of AI as a game changer, considering that you are going to do a talk at the Leaders Day addressing this topic, which is called AI has rewritten the rules, what does that really mean? How has it shifted the rules of product strategy, team dynamics, even leadership? What's going to be on your take on in there?
Well, I think we need to go back a few years, right? Because we started with project management, trying to manage a digital transformation or software development with old school techniques coming from the physical world, like construction. So project management was great. Gantt charts, waterfall. Every single executive still loves the feeling of having a Gantt chart in his pockets. We tried that to manage software. It didn't work pretty well in terms of scope creep, goals not being met. And of course, the timeline is always a challenge to keep up with the baseline, with the promise. Fast forward, there was an Agile manifesto in 2001, people over process and documentation, trust people by default, communicate, a few frameworks, try to translate that high-level manifesto into rituals, like Scrum, probably the most famous one. Then companies probably became feature factories. Let's be very productive doing things. But the thing is doing the right thing, not just doing things. It was great in terms of efficiency. Think of it as a factory. The factory is very efficient, but we need to build the right car. When I teach people this, I talk about the famous Fiat Multipla. Multipla, the car, it wasn't beautiful. The car is not here because it was probably so ugly. If you have one, I'm really sorry. But Scrum, I think it sorted out the problem of efficiency. And then Marty Kagan, dual track Agile. There's a discovery track and a delivery track. Get the right idea and then get the idea right. It was a jump in terms of quality and efficiency to do the right things. And now suddenly Gen AI, and we can use GPTs to improve the discovery process. I can interview synthetic users. I can do my research using ChatGPT or my initial research. I can come up with a mock-up by using one prompt. I can test that mock-up very easily or wireframe or whatever with one prompt without hiring a designer. And then on the delivery track, now we have tools like Lovable, or we call it vibe coding as a whole, but I can actually build my prototype. And I'm a product manager. I can build my prototype. I can have the source code then synchronize with GitHub. So if people like my prototype, I can immediately share that prototype with my dev team. Then they can continue the developments. And this is magic. You can go from idea into an app, into a business in the same day. This is like magic. It wasn't possible 2 years ago.
It sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, but it is.
Yes, but you must hear this a lot when you do consulting and you come with this, it can do it one day what you were doing, I don't know, 15 days or an entire sprint. Now you can do 1 day or 2 days. What's your answer to that? You just show them, right? You vibe code in front of
I show, and then here's an account. You try it. And I've seen amazing things, like a 70-year-old CFO from a company. So I did a demo of Lovable. Here's a dashboard, financial dashboard. And he was like, wow, amazing. So let's set up another meeting. I will tell you exactly what I want you to build for me. On the second meeting, I was expecting a few bullet points with features. And he was like, sorry, can I share my screen? Oh, of course you can share your screen. And he did the prototype using Lovable. So CFO, not a typical IT guy.
He did before the meeting. So when it came to the
Before
meeting,
the
the
meeting.
prototype was there. Okay.
So he did a demo
Mm-hmm.
of his financial dashboard and all the features he wanted that he developed. So financial guy, not IT, 70 years old, never tried one line of code before. So he learned to program without learning to program. Then he said, I want this. Tell me the price. I want this in production. Tell me the price. This is amazing. This is another example I'm going to give you.
But just before you go to the other example, so what happens then? You take that Git commit that he shared with you and use it as the baseline to whatever you're going to deliver to the client. Because now you know what he has in mind, and that works as the specification, so to say, the PRD document for you to develop the software.
Number one friction is explaining the development team, the software development team, what people want. PRDs, user stories, mockups, clickable mockups, like Figma stuff. And then people develop that, and I'm like, sorry, I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I see it, I don't want that.
Right.
So after 2 sprints or 3, probably you get what you want. So when I'm training product managers, for instance, they tell me the number one friction is, managing
Right, the translation, the loss in translation.
So even if you don't use automated codes or AI-assisted software development tools, AI-assisted tools in production,
right.
If you just use it to come up with, yes, that's what I want, I think it will sort a lot of problems out in the short period of period.
Right.
If you can probably think of an enterprise ecosystem, what you will realize is that 90% of the apps are not core apps, are apps around the core. Meaning you can do it using this type of tools, and you can probably exterminate 50% of Excel spreadsheets or what I call human workflows. Because digital transformation is one thing, digitalization is another thing. So what you have nowadays is people managing important stuff using email, WhatsApp, and Excel spreadsheets. So if you just build an app to, improve from Excel and email and WhatsApp, it's good enough. Then that app can integrate through an API with a core system. So yes, there's a fit for this. A lot of people still disagree, but I talk with clients or prospects every single day, and everybody is excited because probably I'm posting a lot on LinkedIn, so they see a lot of examples. Then they try, and then they are like, wow, this really works. I want to try with these small projects. It can be a dashboard. It can be to create a new supplier for a company.
So that's what you're going to talk at the Leaders Day. The AI has rewritten the rules. Is that the way that you see that AI has rewritten the rules for product managers?
So if the focus is still creating value, and I think we lost that because Scrum was all about creating value. So it's getting back to basics. Agile, Scrum, creating value. And the angle is now we have all the tools, for a fraction of the cost to create that value. So 2 roles will be impacted. So the product managers, first of all, needs to be the one understanding the potential. And then the development team or the software development team. And of course, I said development, it includes designers as well.
Right, of course.
If they all understand the potential, they will reduce the time to build the right stuff. So the lead time will be reduced. And the friction that exists between business, IT, and IT will probably disappear. And André, we started talking about the 90s. And I have the example of the analyst programmer. And I think we are getting back to the analyst programmer. So in the morning, I'm your peer. I'm the analyst. I will design workflows, what you want, what you need. In the afternoon, I will code. And I will come up with that piece of code in the next morning.
Right.
Then we divided into roles: front-end developer, back-end developer, database integration, analyst, program manager, blah, blah, blah. It was very hard to get one thing done. In the past, you were really a full-stack engineer, like electricity, right? Computer hardware, operating system, database, coding.
Yeah, well, if you go back to the origins of computing, for sure, the guy that was regulating the volts was the same guy that was programming the machine.
True, true. But now I think we are getting back to the old days because if the product manager can code the prototype, the high fidelity prototype, you can understand the business. You can translate it into code 5 times per day, like side by side with the business. So your focus will be all about creating value.
And
Not
to be honest,
managing
that was a little bit
technology.
the dream of the low code mantra, right? These people on the low code. I mean, back in the day, from the Visual Basic days all the way to, for those that remember, Rational Rows and software
Yes.
like that. The dream has always been the same. Oh, let the business people develop the software. And if you have been in the industry like you do for the last 25, almost 30 years, that dream has been sold by multiple companies multiple times, like IBM, Novel, OutSystems, now Vibe Coding, Lovable, da-da-dee-da-da-da. Isn't this just the latest form, the latest instance of that very old dream? Let the business people are finally going to build the apps that they're looking for, and Excel it's finally over. And
No,
in 5
Excel-
years, we're going to have this
Excel-
conversation again, and
No.
still.
Excel is not over. Excel will still be.
So Excel is
No,
still
no.
going to be here.
I
But
think
that kind of contradicts what you're saying, right? Because you're saying, processes are now sorted out around Excel. But if we move to vibe coding, they can be done by apps and stuff. So why should
but
Excel be here in 5 years?
We are
from
not. There's an adoption curve, right? So I'm probably an early adopter, innovator, those 12 to 14 or 16%, I don't remember. And Excel will evolve as well. So now with Copilot from Microsoft, I'm not against Microsoft, by the way. I really love what Microsoft is doing at the moment. So we will have Excel on steroids. Okay. And if we look at Excel and then Power BI and then Power Automate, it's not the same Excel as it was 20 years ago, where we will have to learn formulas, then VBA. Now we have a lot of things that by dragging and drop, I can create my own reports. I can do my own automations with Power Automate. So these are no-code tools at the moment. It's not the same Excel. But if there's a moment where your Excel is not enough, I think that people are empowered to create a small app. And Microsoft tried that with Power Apps, right? OutSystems was a great tool, probably not for the end user, but for people without a computer engineering background. So I trained a lot of people in low code without computer science degree, without knowing how to code. It was good enough, but the software engineer was still there. So because there's more demand for apps, there's more demand for software development, we now have more people working in that area. And we have different needs. You will always need probably a native Android developer, an iPhone native. And now with wearables, probably we'll have even more specialists in a few specific areas. But to create a create, read, update, delete app, a CRUD app, you don't need a software developer. You don't even need a software engineer, of course. You can do it by yourself. And that's magic. And I'm training people doing that. Actually, I'm in a place right now. I trained 4 people from a back office area, like support, financial, and marketing management. And they created useful apps that they are going to use tomorrow in 1 hour. And they are like, I'm so addicted to this. So if everybody's going to learn how to code in this type of, I don't think so. But a lot of people will. And probably the younger generation will look at tools like Excel and they'll be like, sorry. But Excel will probably evolve as well. And Satya is doing a great job at Microsoft. And by the way, there's a Spark from Microsoft trying to emulate Lovable. And due to the fact they have GitHub and all the code, I think Microsoft will probably become again a leader in terms of software development. Probably they're a bit afraid with tools like Lovable and Cursor at the moment, but Microsoft is a big player and they will be around for a while.
When AI is part of the equation, what core mindset or shift should the product teams embrace, especially when tomorrow's decisions will depend on technology that's evolving in real time? I mean, you just said it, Excel will change, all these tools will change, and they will embrace vibe coding eventually. Some of them have already.
Well, I'm working again with developers, and there are 2 mindsets, okay? The good one, like the blue pill and the red pill. So a few of them are still denying But at the same time, those guys are using ChatGPT generated code, because the fact is a good developer likes to solve complex problems, and most of the things they need to do are not complex. So they can go on Stack Overflow, any GPT.
Yeah,
create code.
I was seeing the stats of Stack Overflow the other day, and they have just crashed, right? Because I mean, people are
Yeah.
not using Stack Overflow anymore. They're just lazily going to ChatGPT or whatever
ChatGPT?
they're using.
Claude, yeah. And then there's the right mindset. Like, I'm a better software developer now
Mhm,
because I have these tools and
mhm,
I know when to use and when not to use.
mhm.
So my point now is we need old school computer science engineers more than ever before, because the output needs to be analyzed, or else you will trust in everything that gets out of the algorithm, and then we will have problems. So again, the basics are more important than ever, or else, how do I say it? A fool with a tool will always be a fool, and we will have more and more problems due to AI generated code. But the thing is, these tools are already incorporating security best practices. For instance, Lovable, when they started, huge mess, API keys being shared, blah, blah, blah. Now they have a security review before you publish. Security warnings per criticity, a medium, high, tell you where the problem is. You can go there and fix it.
Mhm,
The same at database level with a Superbase, for instance.
mhm.
So you have a whole team working with you, a synthetic team working with you, like the developer, the security,
do
the database, the integration.
Q&A, quality
Yeah.
assurance of the
So
software.
you have a co-pilot, not from Microsoft. You have a team working as a co-pilot. So if you are a good software engineer, you will become even better.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what people are saying, right? That ex-engineers become more ex-engineers because they suddenly have
Ex-engineers.
right.
I was sharing this with you. I cannot tell you the name of the bank, but 2 weeks ago, I talked with a CEO of a bank. He invited me for a conversation. He was like, "I'm watching you on LinkedIn." And I'm like, Jesus, I need to embrace vibe coding. I went through a few posts as well. I studied. So I want to do the double of I have a huge backlog. I want to double my capacity without hiring new software developers. And he was like, so we did a test. There was a project here, a plan to take 9 months. I don't know about the effort, but in terms of calendar, it was 9 months. They did that app in 1 day,
Mm-hmm.
9 months to 1 day. So they were like, okay, this is a serious topic. We need to study this, because if this is true, as it was with this specific challenge, it's amazing. It will disrupt how fast we do things and the cost to do things. And they have regulation. And because regulation takes all the time and the effort, they don't have time to innovate. So with tools like this, they become faster in terms of shipping regulation features, and they free up time to innovate.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
you need to become strategic with this. So vibe coding is not operational, it's strategic.
Conversation is still very much about factory, factory of features. So features still very much about productivity, about this amount of features that we have to deliver, and not so much about outcomes. I mean, that's a challenge. I don't know the specifics of that challenge, but it seems to me that the bottleneck was about the sheer amount of work that they could do, and not so much the quality of the outcome. So more engineers to do what? More features. Do you really need those features? Is there where you should be spending your engineers' time, regardless whether you're using AI or not?
That's a
Because
challenge.
that's a challenge, right? Because
That's
we
a
might
challenge. It's still there.
use-
It's still there. The mindset is not right.
Right. If the mindset is not right, like you said, if it's a fool with the tool, then it's still a fool with the tool, no matter if it's AI. So on Mars Shots, and that's the name of your consulting company, the Vibe Consulting, that's what you said you're doing now?
I started calling it vibe consulting right
Vibe
now.
Consulting. So what is what is Vibe Consulting? Let's just start with that.
It's solving problems in 10 days, not in 10 months. So pick a problem, good enough to be sorted out, and try This word is very important. Try to solve it in 10 days. Okay, so start small. Try to create value in 10 days. And this is a shift in the consulting model because we sell man days or people days. Today I need to say people days, not man days. But back in the day it was man days, right? So selling time is still the number one metric. That's why we say people on the bench, billable, billability, not billable. So if you can sort things out in 10 days, you will have certainly return on investment. You'll have a short payback period. And I started doing that by using vibe coding and a design thinking approach. So I'm combining.
That's quite interesting.
Design thinking, like go there. We started in the accounting department of a large laboratory or clinical company in Portugal, working side by side with people in the accounting and doing vibe coding. So here's a problem. Can we automate
But
this?
did you start
Let's
with the
try to
design
do it.
thinking process or with the vibe coding directly?
On steroids, empathy phase. Imagine this. You want to create a software for accountants. You need to become an accountant. You need to, here's a chair, be here with me during this morning, learn my pains, my expected gains, and then try to do something. So we worked side by side with the two accountants in particular. We understood, okay, these are the problems. Let's define this problem. Let's prototype a solution here very fast, and let's test it. So those 5 steps from design thinking, empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test, can now be done in 1 day, 2 days. You can iterate a lot faster with high fidelity prototypes. So I promised the board member of that company, I will ship the solution in 10 days. And she was like, I will never forget this. She was like, Hugo, your pitch is amazing. Amazing. I just hope your delivery is amazing as well. And I was like, but are you going to pay the price? Oh, yes, of course, of course. But if you are amazing in terms of delivery, you will never get out of my company. And we are now delivering the 5th project, because it worked. And now I'm going to tell you something. It took 5 days, not 10 days to deliver the solution that created value. And I was like, now I have a problem. I will have to tell the customer that it's over 5 days. So the customer will pay 50% of the price. So my colleague was like, yeah, we under promise, we over deliver. So let's talk with our point of contact and let's build a few features that create value in those 5 days. And that's what we did. And they were amazed because it was on time, on budget. It sorted the problem and it added a few things.
Yeah. So one of the criticisms that sometimes people put on this is that Lovable or all these vibe tools and even vibe strategies, I would say, are great to produce MVPs and to produce value fast, right? But the problem is not the first 10 days. It's what happens when you have a tool to manage, when you have, an app that needs to be maintained, or it starts to grow from an architectural engineering aspect, right? It becomes more complex. It has more features. So how do you guys deal with the increase of complexity around the app? Because from what I understand, it's great to produce value for specific niches that those are solved, and then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But what happens when the blob starts to grow?
I'm a very honest guy. I don't have the answer. I don't know. We are still not there, and I think nobody knows. We are all learning how far we can go with this. My experience tells me that most of the times people need very simple solutions. Very simple.
But those
solutions.
are gadgets. Those are gadgets, Hugo, right? I'm not being playing the devil's advocate here. I'm just trying to grok the meaning of vibe being solutions that are essentially MVPs. But after the MVP, there comes a huge engineering effort to make
in terms of enterprise IT, there's a friction between the business and IT. So huge backlogs, they are not able to deliver. If somehow the business user realizes there's a solution to fix that small problem, they will be very happy and the friction will suddenly be gone. And that's value and that's a win, because then business and IT will start to talk again and probably come up with solutions for the problem you are describing. But I think that you need to think of this as this will end with all the big monolithic applications, and we will have an ecosystem of very small applications that will reduce complexity And now it becomes obvious that we need APIs, we need microservices, because it's faster to change things. And the risk is lower because we have smaller apps. There was an article I read today about ERPs, and that ERPs are going to change because of this. But there's another angle, Andrea, legacy. So I have one customer that is worried about legacy. Okay, very important. The system Fortran AS 400. Only one guy knows how to manage that. And they are now requesting our help to do the refactoring of those legacy systems, to take the risk, because nobody talks about this, but big companies have 40 years old systems up and running. 40 years old.
Vibe is good for refactoring, right? Because you can input, output. You can input old code and you can output new.
Fortran to C#. But going back to your question, this specific client where we started, it's in the health sector. They have a security team. So all the security requirements were given to, they shared it from the get-go, from the start. They were incorporated. Before going into prod, they do all the testing to make sure everything is okay. There were a few warnings the first time, and then we passed all the tests. So, but then we realized that being fast developing the software is not enough, because it took 6 weeks to get the approval from the IT security team. 6 weeks. There was another customer where we developed the project before getting the purchase order. So companies are not ready for this. That's why I call it now the vibe thinking. You need to change the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You need to break down silos, and this is not new. We've been talking for this since the Spotify model squads and guilds and that utopic perfect world where you can trust everybody. But now I think things are probably getting there, because if we put together people from business, from IT, and we create a prototype that it's working in 6 hours, boom, done. It's gone. It solved one problem. Yes, shadow IT will be a bigger problem now. I know that, but let's be honest. Everybody's using ChatGPT to do everything. Everybody's using Gamma to do slides. So shadow IT, it's confidential information. Gamma is not allowed here in the firewall. So people will do it in the personal computer or the smartphone. Shadow IT is becoming big problem. It's a mess. I don't have a solution for that. But let me tell you, I think literacy is the solution. You need to train the board in terms of digital literacy. You need a new type of CTO, because a typical CTO is like, sorry, it's not possible. Sorry, it's not possible. Sorry, it's not possible.
Yeah, not inside this company. Not inside the walls.
Not invented here, yeah. So you need to unlearn a few things, because users are really upset with the fact that they are using tools from the 90s when they have Gamma, when they have hygiene.
Yeah, people suffer. So at the conference as well, you're also hosting the panel Leading by Creating Energy with Radhika Dutt, with Pippa Dopp, and Dave Martin. And you are a very high energy guy. I think that's a trademark of yours. Why is energy such an underrated quality in leadership?
If you are alive, every single day is an opportunity. You need to take the best out of that day, and that's my mindset. Some things can't be explained. But the energy thing, I think it's cultural. I like this example. I'm in Lisbon at the moment. So if I walk here down the street, I'm probably the fastest guy walking. Okay. When I go to London, and I go often to London, I'm not the fastest guy walking. People are faster than me. So it's a cultural thing. So probably here I'm fast. In London, I'm normal. In New York City or LA, I'm probably not good enough to be there. So I think speed and energy are cultural. In the way it's perceived, it's cultural. It's my take. But I know that I do a lot of mistakes because I'm probably fast. But I read a book from Celso Las Casas a few weeks ago, the famous CEO of a high-end furniture company, Portuguese. And he was like, I decide everything in 5 to 10, 15 minutes. If it is a 1 million euros decision, it takes me 24 hours to decide. Because the point is, if you are fast making decisions, okay, you will do a lot of mistakes, but you will be right a lot of times. If you are slow, probably will do a lot of mistakes and you won't hit the target a lot of time. So I'm a fast.
So let's pull together some of our top insights from today. Just to wrap this up, what's the one idea you hope sticks with the listeners? And there was a bunch of ideas that you have shouted, that you have launched to the table today. But if you had to pick like one thing, what would that be?
One idea.
Yeah, one idea, one concept, one mindset, a change, whatever you think we should embrace.
I think going back to your previous question, embracing speed, and I think speed is good. It's not a negative thing. You need to embrace velocity, speed, you name it, because the world is shifting every single day. So you need to be fit. You need to be fit enough. And I think executives get that because they are all, practicing for the Ironman, for the triathlon. So speed is something that should be embraced because we have the technology, we have the knowledge to become faster than you are. The second thing, I need the second thing is you need to embrace an experimentation mindset, okay? Because the world is not deterministic, it's probabilistic. So the Gantt chart is dead in many areas because of that. It's about probabilities. But if you have probabilities, you need to take risks. Small bets, medium bets, high risk bets. And experimentation needs to become something good. In the Portuguese culture, experimentation is not good. I don't know in other cultures.
You don't know why.
Here,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but failing is learning, really. So I have this West Coast mindset. So if we embrace velocity, you will fail. But you will learn a lot more. And sometimes I'm like, oh, you are so fast that it's like you are not good because you are fast. Sorry, I have the right speed. You don't. And companies now need to embrace a new war. Raw materials getting more, the price is going up. Oil price is going up. Conflicts every single day. You need to be able to shift as fast as you can. So how can you do that in the established company? That's the leadership challenge. And many of them don't understand technology. Many of them don't understand how people communicate nowadays. Yesterday, I asked a team of executives, did you know that the iPhone 17 is out? Do you know Dua Lipa? Sorry, who? Do you know how Apple communicated the iPhone 17? It was a selfie from Dua Lipa with holding the phone, just this.
Or an orange phone.
Yeah, exactly.
The new orange phone.
By the way, did you guys have TikTok? Do you guys have TikTok? Oh, we don't have TikTok. So you need to understand the world where you live. Teenagers are very fast. They get bored very fast. So if you don't understand this,
Too fast.
you become obsolete.
Yeah.
So staying relevant, you need speed, you need to unlearn, and you need to embrace an experimentation mindset. I think these are the key ingredients to survive nowadays as a professional, as a team, as a company.
So speed, experimentation, and also be willing to unlearn, to learn new tricks. That's a wrap for today's episodes of this Productized podcast. Hugo, huge thank you for sharing your insights, your passion for change, and also your energy, which is always amazing, especially at this time of the day when Hugo said, oh, let's record this at the end of the day. I was I was a little bit afraid because, it's the end of the day, but then I thought Hugo is going to be at the top of his game. To our listeners, don't forget to subscribe, follow us on, on LinkedIn. And if you want, you can still grab your tickets for Productized Conference at our productized.co page. We have sold out all access tickets. We are very close to sell out the Leaders Day, where Hugo is going to be hosting part of the day and also doing a talk. So please do run to grab the last ticket, especially if you are a leader, if you are working with people, if you're managing people. This is really the place for you to go in Lisbon if you're doing products in the digital space. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, creating change starts with clarity, courage, and collaboration. And Hugo is super open to, and it shares a lot on LinkedIn. He shares a lot of what he's learning, and you can follow him on LinkedIn. I think that's the best way to keep pace with frenetic pace of Hugo is there. Otherwise, see you at the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Obrigado.